What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stacks by the Numbers, and I wanted to do a quick jump here into Hershey Foods, Hershey Company, whatever it's called. Ticker symbol HSY, listed here on the New York Stock Exchange. Stock right now got beaten up, as we see, just over the last couple of weeks, dropping from about 211 all the way back down to this bottom support trend line here that I drew out, that I mentioned multiple times the last few times that we spoke about Hershey. Right now, the stock 182.65. It's down 40 cents, about 0.2%. We can see Barclays coming out equal weight, actually lowering their price target from 210 to 204, which of course is still about 10-12% higher than where the stock is currently trading. The company also updated here, sourced about 80% electricity from renewable and zero emission sources, achieved 43% reduction, and you can see they're trying to kind of maintain that higher ESG score, I believe it is. But overall, in general, in my opinion, this is a company that not only did I mention multiple times, but in the numbers, I feel personally that it looks pretty solid. We have a market cap now of a touch below 37 billion. The company's paying a dividend yielding about 3%. We're trading only 18 times earnings now, so we're sub that kind of 20 benchmark. The EPS has been solid, as you see, for the last 4 quarters. The company posted earnings 6 weeks ago. We can see they beat nicely on the revenue side as well by about 140 million. So we're coming off a nice strong quarter. We had momentum coming in. They pumped it up to above 200, and now we completely beat it up and brought it back down. I mentioned the last day or two in Discord. Again, Discord link in the description of every video. Absolutely free for you all to join. And I also tweeted out on X, and I said, in my opinion, I would personally start building a position in HSY calls moving forward. Very, very similar to a play like we saw recently with DraftKings. They beat up DraftKings. They brought it down 35, 34. I said, in my opinion, you got to buy this dip. Give it a couple of weeks of time. And I'm very confident that the stock's going to get back to 40 plus. And a lot of people in the Discord, shout out to them, of course, they took a position. They made themselves a couple of 100% on DKNG. And we can see it is also up almost another 3% heading to the next trend line of about 43.5. So that stock just about 2 weeks ago was down at 34.30. Now it's above 43 already. And that took literally 2 weeks, which is why I say that, in my opinion, you have to develop a hit list of these companies that we're watching with decent fundamentals, wait for them to take a hit, get beaten up, then you step in, you strike, you buy that dip, and then you wait to sell the rip. And Hershey, in my opinion, basically same scenario, right? So this bottom trend line here, point of reference, going from the bottom of this candle here, December 21st, 23, coming over to the bottom of this candle, it retested back here, April 17, 24, extend that out, and boom, what do you know? The stock pulled back exactly to that trend line, and now you're seeing a bounce back above this other blue trend line, which basically just went across the tops from July 27, July 28th, 2023, and I just cut that down, excuse me, cut that down across and extended it, and you can see that when we had the first initial pump, when I brought it to your attention, it was around here, because this is the all-time resistance, the all-time support trend line, this purple trend line. And you can see that as we came down, I said we could flash crash to sub 180, but in my opinion, it's going to bounce back to 200, and boom, that's exactly what happened. You can see that's basically right where the body of that candle stopped, is right around this trend line. So this is another key level to watch, but we can see also we bounced off this bottom support, and now we got above this old resistance trend line. And obviously last time it happened, boom, we went to 200. We pull back here again, you can see, break that trend line, boom, spike back up to 200 plus. Beat it up again mid-April, boom, spike back up to 200 plus. So I'm pretty sure, I would hope, that you can see the writing on the wall here. So obviously we know that a lot of the moves, Steam Friend, again, my apologies, I always forget that, but we can see that, of course, nothing is guaranteed and anything can happen, but technically the stock looks like it's making these slightly higher highs, and these technically are higher lows right now if the stock doesn't crash down. But either way, honestly, even if it flash crashes down here to 177.5, yes, the calls are probably going to immediately take a hit, obviously, but in my opinion, like I always say, if I liked it at 181, 182, You should love it down here at 178, 179. But realistically, that really shouldn't happen. And I think that, in my opinion, we should have a bounce. And even conservatively, even if we go halfway here to this mark, you're looking at a fib level of 189. Even if it comes back up here to this all-time support trend line and actually rejects, you can see you're still looking at about 193.5, which is about a 10-point move from where the stock is currently trading. So, in my opinion, there's money to be made, and I always liked Hershey, and I believe it was right here, if memory serves correct, as it was climbing up. This is when I had just a couple of bucks that I moved over, because personally right now my liquidity is tight. I'm very transparent. I've been saying that for quite some time, but I did mention here around this time that I moved over just a handful of dollars, and I mentioned in the Discord, I said, hey, I'm jumping into HSY calls here, and obviously you can see it went on a big run, and the next day it was up 100%. The call only cost me $40. The next day, it was up 100%. The following day, it was up around 400%, worth 200. That is when I had to take profits because I'm a piker, so I only had one call. But the next day, it continued to climb and had like a 5-point run, and those options were up over 2,000% over the course of about 3 days. So again, I appreciate the fact that people like to look at, like the Teslas and the Nvidias and or maybe like SMCI now I know is in the spotlight. Again, brought to you originally on this channel at about $350 before all the initial pumps started to take place. But my point is, there is a lot of money and a lot of big returns to be made outside of the tech sector as well, which is why I always talk about having a nice diversified list. And again, regardless of what the company is, if they dip down, that is when you have to strike while the iron's hot, and you have to strike while it's on sale or deep discounted. And again, market cap 37 billion. Company last year brought in over 11 billion. We can see steady fundamentals climbing year over year. You can also see the net margin percentage climbing along with it as well. So that's what I mean. A situation like that, when the stock gets beaten up, it gets smacked up, that's when you step in, that's when you buy that big dip. So in my opinion, HSY calls, but also shares if you can afford it. Because again, it's a brand name stock, growing fundamentals. They pay you about a 3% dividend to own it. So we know there are worse companies out there. But we can see the MACD obviously falling off a cliff here with the stock completely breaking down. We can see big rejections off our 50-day, our 200-day. And again, we can see that we have even a retracement back here to the 200-day, back up to 191.65. I mean, those calls are probably going to make you a pretty penny, in my opinion. RSI now down here at sub 31.5, so technically should see a bounce in the next day or two. Based on the daily. On the weekly, we can see RSI at about 40.5, so technically we have more room to drop, but as you see here, bottom Bollinger Band on the weekly is just sub 180, which is why I'm saying if you're able to start piecing into a position, and then let's say it pulls back another 2 points and change, you can potentially average down. And I know it sounds risky, and in the moment we might get stressed out, and we might be hesitant to pull the trigger. But I need to remind you again, if you are able to buy time, then none of that is an issue, right? So if you're able to afford a month out as opposed to a week out, you are quote unquote securing the positive trade that is going to potentially take place, right? You're giving the position enough time. Again, nothing's guaranteed, but you're giving the position enough time to potentially guarantee a profitable trade. We do see the MACD cross to the downside here on the weekly, but again, we may be potentially near the bottom of the bottoms here and the low of the lows on this big drop, so the bounce may be coming soon. And we have our 200-day here at 190.80, 50-day 196.06. So that's what I mean. In my opinion, even if you step in here and you buy 190s and it retraces back to that fib we looked at earlier, or if it retraces back to this 200-day, I mean, you're probably going to make a pretty penny for yourself. But just wanted to do a quick update on HSY because, again, this is essentially the Buffett method, which we mentioned multiple times. You keep an eye on the brand name, fundamentally sound stocks, the Hershey's, the Philip Morris's, right? Hims and Hers is another smaller cap that I speak about all the time. And we wait for these companies to pull back, sell off, get to a fair or discounted value, and then we step in, we accumulate shares, we build a position, we buy calls, whatever it is. But just wanted to do a quick update there on Hershey Foods. And again, I tweeted it out as well at stocks buy numbers, because apparently the whole thing doesn't fit in your handle on X. And also, again, Discord link in the description of every video, free for you guys to join. And HSY already back up to 183. I said, in my opinion, it could pull back. I said this yesterday. I said, in my opinion, it could pull back to this trend line. You may see a low of 181.40. Stock goes to 181.34 and now bounces and is almost already at 183. You have to be quick. And I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm, right? That helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That's really all I ask. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.